If it's tapped, then it's fact. If it's capped, it's a rap. Over and over and over and over. Broken record scratching, they lacking, they capping again. They steady smacking their lips and rolling their neck. Eyes twitching cause you really made it out of them jets. You paraselling. Meanwhile, they just
That was when we were supposed to do it last year.
That was cool. I love that montage. That was really cool, man.
Appreciate that. That's actually all kudos to my dear friend Charlie Wilson. How you doing today, Mr. Greg Baldwin?
Other than being old and fat, I'm doing pretty good. Other than that, it's all good, man. And the old and fat thing, I'm kind of used to that anyway, so that's not even that much of a problem.
I hear you. Hey, at least you have the excuse of age. Some of us is young and fat, so you know what I mean. Like that's kind of worse.
Well, the greatest thing about being old, I've discovered, is I can say pretty much whatever I want to and get away with it. People forgive old men for saying a lot of stuff. Check out my Twitter page. You'll see.
I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. How you doing, Mr. Impound Comics? My boy Trace. How you doing today?
What's up, brother? How are you? I'm doing good.
Doing good. Glad you can make it, man. Then the infamous Meelerzz. How you doing today? How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good. Nice to see everybody.
I've had my run in with her too. I already know what it is.
I'm not.
So funny. Okay, well, yeah, man, we're here to do an interview with Mr. Greg Baldwin, the voice of Iroh. You saw the intro, Splinter. He has many projects he's done, and we just gonna get straight into it. And I don't want to take too much of your time. So we want to talk about your origins. Tell us about where you're from. Tell us about like your background. What got you into voice acting, anything.
Well, I wasn't a military brat, but I call myself a bureaucrat brat because my dad was a bank examiner for the governor, and so for the government, and we would move like every 2 years or so, which as a kid I really hated. But I also learned as a kid when you're in a new school after 2 years that you can make more friends if you learn how to do funny voices. So it sort of goes back to then. That's sort of when I started. Hey, I can do voices and people like me better. And then at the age of 10, I saw a musical called Scrooge. So they run it every year. It's a musical. It's Albert Finney who made it in 1970. I was 10 years old. And, it changed my life. I saw this film and I immediately knew that I wanted to be an actor. And that was exactly what I wanted to do with my life, which is kind of cool to know that and have that sort of focus at 10. I'm really grateful that I had that. So from that point on, I would ask for my parents, for Christmas or for my birthdays, I would only want record albums from Broadway shows. And for my 17th birthday, I got an album from a show called Pacific Overtures. It was 1977. It was written by Stephen Sondheim, and it starred an actor named Mako Iwamatsu, who was nominated for a Tony for this. This quickly became my absolute favorite musical of all time. And, like you do, I would go into my room and I would sing along with the musicals. And literally, I could sing the whole score for you right now. And indeed, if you can see just right behind me over here, that is the very same album, the red and white album right here. Oh, right there. That's it. That is the album I got for my 17th birthday. I would sing along with it. I would sing along with Mako. And not realizing at the time that what I was actually doing was working on an impression of Mako, which flash forward to 2006, I got the audition, said they're looking for a voice match for Mako. And it's like, oh, I think I got this. I know what this man sounds like. And the funny thing is, I was 46 when I was cast as Iroh, and Mako, I believe he was 72 or 73 when he passed away. And now I'm 64. And I do find that as my vocal cords age naturally and become closer to the age that Mako's vocal cords were when he was recording. I think my impression actually has gotten better, over time. Just
Yeah,
as I'm getting older. So yeah, that's it's all because of that record right there. And as Iroh says, destiny is a funny thing. Destiny is a very very funny thing. I'm
it
testament to it.
is. It's funny how ironic how that kind of paved the way for you to be where you are today. That's really awesome.
Honestly, if they had given me a different gift for my 17th birthday, someone else would very probably have been Iroh.
Yeah.
So, it all hinges on something that, you don't think anything, because I got a lot of records for my birthday that year. That wasn't the only one, but that's the greatest present I ever got, as it
Wow,
turns out, by far.
that's amazing.
So, yes, I'm very lucky indeed.
Awesome. Speaking about scores and albums, you actually were in a play that was it had one of my favorite scores from the movie, which is
Yeah, that's right. I, I did that show twice. I played Mr. Mushnik, of course. I was,
yes.
the first time I did it was 1999, and my kids were little. They were like in kindergarten, and they had never seen me on stage before. And so I took them up before the opening and let them, come into the stage because I wanted them to know that Dad wasn't actually getting eaten by a giant plant. So I let them climb into the puppet and say, "This is how it works. Don't freak out. I'm going to be screaming a lot. It's going to be very scary, but actually, I'm just crawling backstage underneath the puppeteer's legs. That's all I'm doing. So yeah, that's a great show. That's a great score too, man.
Yeah, amazing. It doesn't get enough credit nor flowers. Not for it to be a horror movie or for the music. It's a lot of like huge actors and celebrities that was in the movie that like that was like their starting. Like that was before they had the name that they have today.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And
yeah,
that was the day I arrived in Los Angeles. I left. Uh, I was living in Houston, and we were married. And I left my wife behind in Houston. I said I'm going to go out and sleep on my friend's, couch. And once I get a job, I'll get us an apartment coming out. My very first night in L.A., we went to see Little Shop of Horrors at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood.
wow,
And then I ended up doing the show twice. So yeah,
it's
pretty
crazy.
cool.
So wait, every time you was about to start a project, you was already a fan of the project?
Uh lots of times for the most part. Now that I think, I mean, probably more than anything else, my kids were teenagers when Avatar was airing, and once your kids stop watching animated content, you're so happy to be free of animated content. You don't watch any animated content, but I did watch Samurai Jack was in the late '90s, and it was a show that my son loved, and I loved it too because Samurai Jack has all that humor and also that action in it as well. And so I can honestly say I got something to show you. I literally just got this finished. Hopefully it'll. I just can you see it? Let's
Oh
see.
yeah. The tat.
Yeah, I literally just got this finished this week, and you can see it.
What?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh
And he sort of
my
curls
gosh.
around my arm. He goes all the way down and he curls around, and it's kind of cool.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
It hurt. It's just now finished. I mean, literally, this is fresh. I just finished
He
the
said it
itching
hurt.
phase. Uh, but
Got a
it's
new
yeah.
tattoo, huh?
I never thought I would be an old guy that liked tattoos, but
Is that your
oddly
own?
enough,
Is that your first one?
yeah, the first one ever is on
Oh,
this.
okay.
Let's see. Can you see that?
Uh-uh.
There we are.
Oh,
That's
okay.
on my
Yeah.
wrist. Yeah,
Is
that's the
that the
Lotus
White
tile
Lotus?
and the Fire Nation emblem.
Wow.
And what I want to do on this arm, because this arm is sort of like fictional organizations I belong to. So I got the Fire Nation, I got the Order of the White Lotus. I'm going to do a Jedi logo on the inside, and I'm also in Fallout 4, so I want a Brotherhood of Steel logo as well. So
Oh, you
I'm branding
game.
myself.
All the
I
pieces,
love it.
all the pieces that make you.
Well,
Okay.
and it's oddly, I hate shots, and that's why I didn't get a tattoo for years. I was thinking it was going to feel like a shot, and it
Yeah.
doesn't. It's like actually the longer you sit there, you get used to it, I guess, and it actually becomes almost pleasant. It's kind of an interesting sensation. And I never thought I would be an old guy with tattoos. A friend of mine said, Greg, do you really want to do anything that permanent? And I said to him, I'm 60 years old. It ain't
Right.
that permanent. Trust me on that. It's good for 20 years, tops probably.
Yeah.
There are,
Okay.
in fact, I guess all tattoos are impermanent. I think my tattoo artist, I was telling him that, and he said, they said, that's what I tell people. I said, yeah, have you ever seen a 200-year-old tattoo? I'll bet you haven't, you know?
Right. Agreed. Yeah. Trace, did you have a question? It looked like you was getting ready to say something.
No, I was just taking in the vibes. I did want to know which character did you voice that means the most to you, though?
Mm.
Because everyone has their own opinion on what means the most for them that you voice, but which one is your favorite?
You know, without a doubt, it's Iroh.
Iroh.
And
Yeah.
it's because I, I don't think of Iroh as a character anymore,
It
because
became
cartoon characters don't actually affect good in the real world. And
yeah.
I've talked to so many people at fan conventions who will say, you know, oh, I was going through this dark patch and Iroh's wisdom got me through. Or, you know, I didn't get along with my old man, and Iroh was like a father figure, you know, and that's, I mean, people cry. Sometimes they make me cry. It's like literally
Mm.
there was one fan, I think recently, she was sobbing so hard she got me sobbing, and then
Yeah.
everybody started sobbing. You know, it was a cry fest.
Yeah.
But you know, I think and a character that just does good. You know, I've
Yeah.
never run across anybody that doesn't love. Iroh is as universally beloved, I think, as anything can be in this fallen world of ours. You know,
Yeah.
uh, everybody. I've never run across anybody that says, "Oh man, that character in Avatar sucks, man." Ugh.
Oh yeah, no.
I hate that
Yeah, that's
guy.
you that get you beat up.
I know, but no one, and I don't, you know, I don't think you could.
Yeah,
Um,
No.
no.
It's
I
certain
think
characters the
I
whole
think
community
even
we protect at all costs.
I mean, even if Iroh is not someone's number one character, it's always an honorable mention. Like even if they
Absolutely.
have someone else, Iroh will always be second, if not first, for almost everybody who is a fan of the show. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's I had a debate with a friend of mine. I kind of want to know what your answer is going to be on this. It's always a back and forth on Ozai and Iroh, if because we never got to actually see them get into a fight. And I think my own personal opinion, I've always felt like if Iroh and Ozai got into a fight, Iroh would win, but it would lean on his battle IQ and experience, which he spent more time learning how to be a better bender. Not only just a man, a better bender, but I feel like Ozai was naturally a more gifted bender naturally, but he didn't take out the time to learn more like Iroh and
Yeah, like
develop.
Iroh did.
Yeah. So who do you say, in an unbiased opinion of your own character that you said is also your favorite, who do you think they would right to win if Iroh and Ozai ever got into a fight?
You know, I have actually thought about it, and you know what? At the end of the day, Iroh would show mercy, and
Mm.
Ozai would not. So
That's
at
what
the
I
end of the
said.
day, I would probably have to say advantage Ozai. You know,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
even if Iroh is more skilled and more powerful than Ozai, oh, you know, Ozai would kill him. I don't think Iroh would kill his own brother. You know.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Iroh himself says, even if I could defeat the Fire Lord, and I'm not sure that I
Mm.
could,
Mm.
yeah, I think it would come down to simply Iroh is a kinder human. I don't think he could bring himself to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's honestly the same way I feel. Yeah, no.
Because
Go ahead, bro.
no, I was just gonna say, so the morality is what would have made him lose, not the fact that he's not skilled enough to do it.
Yeah, I think
But
he just wouldn't have the
based
heart
on
for it.
yeah, correct. Okay.
Now,
I hear
if Iroh and Aku got into a fight, people want me to say Iroh would win. But you know, if Iroh doesn't have the sword, he doesn't stand a chance, man.
not
It'd
at
be over.
all.
It'd be
Not at
over, you know,
all.
just like that, man.
Yeah.
Now, well, my follow up question on that though is, do you think this was just another discussion on the same topic? Um, if Iroh and Ozai stood side by side and they both did their biggest fire blast, whose would be bigger?
Hmm.
Mm. Mm.
That takes away from like the learning and the stuff. Like, who do you think is just? And there's no
I
answer other than hearing it from like you guys because it's like
Yeah,
it
you know,
never got
I'm
shown.
thinking about who would. Honestly, I think it would be so. I think they're pretty well equally yoked in terms of power. You
Yeah,
know, I think it would be difficult. I think I don't know if rage and anger helps you create more explosive fire within the mythology of it all. But I think Ozai would probably have more of that. But Iroh's power is much more centered, it's centered.
Yeah.
He knows exactly where to put it. Whereas Ozai's power is everywhere,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's, yeah, I think maybe advantage Iroh, I think probably a little bit, precisely because his power is more focused, because he's more focused.
Right. Right. Makes sense.
But,
And there's like, it's just fiction, just when I got a chance to ask you, I'm gonna ask you.
and
But we can go back
man,
and
I
forth
love to
with it
talk.
all day.
That sometimes gets me in trouble at fan conventions because I will talk, especially if it's a fandom that I'm into, I will talk to someone for 10 minutes and the line will grow and grow. Literally, once I had a convention rep stand behind me because the line was getting so long with a stopwatch. Say,
Yeah.
okay, Baldwin, you got 3 minutes with each guest, then move on, move on, move on, because, you know, I love my fandoms too. So I'm Star Wars number one, probably of them all. Uh, I was 17, the year I got my album was also the year of Star Wars release, 1977.
Mhm.
And if you were fortunate enough to have been a 17-year-old boy and to see Star Wars premiering, or for that matter, just anybody, I can't explain what that opening shot of the Imperial battle cruiser going over the audience's head in 1977, that looked like magic, man. It was like
Mhm.
we've never seen anything like that before. The only thing I think you could compare it to in later generations would be the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Where you look at those dinosaurs, and, oh my God, that looks like, you're like, it looks like a brontosaurus there.
Got you. Okay, so I want to capitalize off of the conversation we having right now. Well, one, I want to ask you about the Star Wars thing. Now that nerdom and fantasy like content is now more popular, do you feel like fans are more spoiled when it comes to, how good a film is? Like, do you feel like we have the same appreciation that your generation had when it was kind of new and it was like, fresh to do things like that? Or do you feel like we have the same love for it that you guys did, like the core fans?
I think you have as much love as we did, but it gets difficult. I mean, social media kind of screws up everything, where
Right.
everybody has an opinion, and sometimes I think people think, "Oh, this is my fandom. This is mine. How dare you change it?" And I think circling back to Star Wars, and some of this other, I think sometimes these huge franchises, and Avatar is one of them that has not been affected by this, but I think it gets so weighted down with its own canon that you lose the fun and everything that made you love the franchise in the first place. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
mean, sometimes, Star Wars, again, 1977, it was a fun movie. And now it's just so weighted down with mythology. No matter what they do, some fans are going to be pissed off.
I'm, I'm not gonna lie though, man. Even to touch that, unfortunately, I see that with Avatar all the time. They
Mm.
only your guys' original Last Airbender season is the only one that people never disrespect. But when it comes to like Korra season
Well, yeah,
and
you know,
the anything, especially the first live action movie has its own
wait a
thing.
minute. There was a first live action movie.
Not anymore. We got
There
rid
was.
of it.
I've heard rumors, legends of this thing, but there is
But
no
the
film in Bossing Say.
But even like the Netflix series had its flaws, but I actually appreciated it still as an
Loved
Avatar
it.
fan.
I do too.
Because one thing, especially while speaking to you about it, one thing that stuck with me specifically was the time where Iroh was a prisoner and we got to actually see the people he affected, where the earth bending the guy who was transporting him told him how Iroh killed his 19-year-old brother when he
Yeah.
attacked Ba Sing Se. And that
Hmm.
was definitely one thing of the animation series that we didn't see was the impact of, even though Iroh ended up being an amazing person, we never got to actually witness the carnage that he did bring to the
Yes.
world for a long time. Yeah.
By any stretch, I hate to say it, but certainly I think you could consider Iroh a war criminal. People talk about that all
Definitely,
the time.
yes.
Mhm.
He was not a nice guy,
Yeah.
but I had it was the. I wish I could
He was
remember the
raised
fan I
that
was
way though,
talking
too.
to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were talking about Zuko's redemption arc,
Mhm.
which got us talking about Azula's redemption arc and brought us back to Iroh's redemption arc. And I've always thought that although the death of his son was traumatic, I don't know, for him to have changed so completely from the man that laid siege to Ba Sing Se and slaughtered people to this kind, wise man that we know now. And this fan said, no, you don't understand. Zuko is Iroh's redemption arc. And I thought, wow, you're right, man. Because by changing Zuko, he changes the Fire Lord. And by changing the Fire Lord, just like Aang, he helps to save the world,
Yeah.
That's how he atones, I think, for the sins of his past through his nephew,
Yeah, I think Iroh, even though he wasn't as vicious, they didn't show it, but I think early in season 1, Iroh still probably would have killed you if you got in his way. I
Yes,
think
I
it
think
was
so.
watching Zuko struggle is really what was the final tide to change him. You know what I mean? I think it was just like seeing him going on a mission that he knew he was going to fail, that he probably shouldn't be going on in the first place. At least that's just my gauging of it.
We were talking literally, I think, just last week. And again, I love talking to fans. We were talking about redemption arcs. The redemption arc that I would like to see, Ozai. Powerless, the most powerful man in the world, left powerless. If anybody is going to find redemption, it would be Ozai. And I like happy endings. I kind of like to see the whole royal family get together for Thanksgiving dinner and have some healing with that family. As it is, you
It's
don't want
hard
to
for
be a
them to
Thanksgiving dinner
even
with them.
have a campfire together without there being drama. Because
exactly.
we saw what
Without
happened
drama.
with Azula and Zuko just trying to bond like that. There's always some strife between them two. But touching on the subject that you're having in Meelerzz, aka Mermaid, you can chime in anytime you want to. I don't want to overtalk you, overshadow you, anything like that.
They're good.
Okay. So speaking about redemption, I have 2 questions about this. We talked about Ozai, but I made a post for Tap No Capping. You guys let me know. I'm assuming I know where you lie with this, Greg, but for everybody else on the panel as well. So it's kind of like the Hitler question, but reverse for Ozai. If you get time travel, knowing what you know now, knowing what happened, knowing what Ozai does, would you time travel to kill the baby so that 100-year war arc doesn't happen?
No.
That might be. Again, I think it would be hard to kill his brother, but if Iroh knows,
not you.
not
you.
just me.
I was like, you.
I do it in a minute, man. No question. Yeah, that's easy. If I can time travel. Cool, man. I want to go to ancient Rome too and take a look at that while I'm time traveling. Awesome.
So you take out the baby, no problem.
Yeah, man. No, it's Ozai. He's what is it? Star Trek. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and I think that's how you would have to come down on that.
Yeah, for sure.
What about
you agree? Is everyone in agreement?
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement. You know what I
mean? That's the Hitler of the universe. I mean, you got to take about.
I'm not killing baby Hitler either. I'm also not killing baby Hitler. That just gives way for someone else to become that person. It's like
and it potentially messes with the timeline altogether. Which as they say, if you kill Hitler, someone else might step up and take it and fill the void.
You got to kill Hitler, though.
It might be someone worse because the timeline's screwed,
I'm just like, I'm not going on a baby killing spree. Because there's always going to be a villain. Because I'm like, if I kill baby Hitler, there's going to be like A through Z baby Hitlers to take
If I know who they are, I'm getting all of them.
We're going to need a bigger time machine.
Yeah, it's just going to be, it is what it is. We're just going to be on a never-ending spree. I'm not going to do it to random babies, but I'm saying if I know that this is the next Hitler, it is what
I feel like you don't get to come back. Like, you're not coming back to hero. You're going to jail.
You a hero for a lot of people.
No.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. You don't think that the Airbenders will be happy somebody saved them in a different timeline to where they still exist and have their temple not be destroyed? Come on now.
They came back anyway in Korra season.
They did not come back.
I mean, the Airbenders as a people came back.
Okay, I was like, that is not.
Yeah. No, we didn't resurrect. So y'all on your killing sprees, it doesn't matter. They all got wiped out, and the people still got to come back. There's still airbenders in the world. So, baby Hitler, baby Ozai, it's still gonna happen. I feel like it's inevitable, like how Thanos says.
And it is babies.
Well,
I mean,
Thanos,
it's one thing to
Thanos
say.
ended up being wrong, though. They fixed it.
God, I'm talking to nerds.
Yeah, Thanos was wrong.
Okay.
What were you gonna say? Oh, Greg was gonna say something.
Oh, I forgot. I'm an old man. I forgot what I was going to say. Whatever I was going to say, you know. I
Hey,
totally
AJ
forgot.
got nothing to do with it because
That
this
happens
one
all the
right
time.
here, you 2 seconds ago, you wouldn't be able to ask her what she said, so it's okay.
No, it's the weird thing, man.
Okay.
I could remember obscure theme songs from 1960s, but I can't remember how to do long division. If my life depended on it, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Memory's a weird thing.
I would have had it up on the side for you to do. I would love to see
No, please, no math questions.
So speaking of redemptions, don't know if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, but who had a harder road to redemption? I don't know if you saw the Sub-Zero. It's a movie that he does with yikes, I can't remember his name, but he's the blind samurai guy who has telepathy as powers. I don't know why I can't think of his name, but
Armac?
No. That's the other guy, the samurai.
It's all to do with the I can't
the bandana.
Kenshin or something like that.
Kenshin.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Kenshin. Okay, so Kenshin, he did a movie, it's an animation, and Sub-Zero, you know, he basically ends up freezing his whole clan, accidentally killing them all. You know what I'm saying? So he pretty much goes like Iroh because he's guilty, and he like swears off fighting ever again, except for, you know, Iroh doesn't swear off fighting, but he lives a more peaceful life. You may not know the context, but even just for the panelists, you know, even for you, like just with the context, killing a whole clan or being responsible of, you know, generational trauma and other deaths, like which one do you feel like is worse?
Wow, these are some heavy questions. Well, I mean,
thank you. Appreciate it.
You should never kill a whole clan of anybody, actually. You know, I mean, coming back to but by doing so, you're protecting a generation. So we're basically talking still about the evil problem. I don't know. I would say, you know, to wipe it. Yeah, and I'm talking about Iroh. I don't know what Iroh would do because I'm not Iroh. People sometimes mistake me for Iroh, but I'm just, you know, I'm just Greg. Yeah, you know, genocide is even if they're unspeakably evil. You know, you can't be going killing.
So here's a better way of framing it. One was accidental. The other one was just, hey, this was a chapter in my life where, you know what I mean, I had a different journey in the path. You know what I'm saying? So do you feel like committing this, because they're both basically the same crime, do you feel like doing something unknowingly versus knowingly matters when, you know, depending on your action?
I think intent absolutely matters. Absolutely, it matters. So, you know, of those two, if that happened accidentally, Iroh is certainly more culpable because he knew exactly what he was doing. You know, he was on track to be the Fire Lord. He was the Crown Prince. So yeah, I absolutely, Iroh would be more culpable. You know.
Okay.
That's fun. It's culpable. That's a fun word. Culpable. Culpable. I like it.
Trace, are you familiar?
I never watched it. No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I couldn't like speak to it. I'm listening just to you explain it.
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend watching the movie. But yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So let's move on to another subject. What was your toughest role?
Aku. And you know, because for lots of reasons, but among other things, Iroh is very much on Zen. He's very much on one level, you know. But Aku is all over the place. You know, Aku will be terrifying one moment and he'll be funny the next. And the genius of Mako is he was able to make those transitions from terrifying to funny very quickly. And I always struggled with him a little bit. It was a little, you know, it's a little too fast. But that's what makes, Aku so interesting because he's very funny. I mean, he's going to still kill you, but you'll die laughing, you know?
Extremely.
Let me ask you a question. Did you when you film, do any of your projects, do you film in the same room or at the same time as the other voice actors, or is it always solitary?
It depends on the project. On Avatar and on Samurai Jack, they tried to get as many of us into the booth as they possibly could,
But
because
Aang
it
was like on
really.
the other. Aang was on like the other side of the country,
Yeah,
though, right?
Aang I
Yeah.
never met until he was grown up. I never met him until the New York City Comic Con 2 years ago.
Wow.
Oh, that's
And
crazy.
but yeah, most of the time, and it also depends on what pod you ran in. I would record with Dante a lot because a lot of my scenes were with Dante. The forgiveness scene, for example, I was never angry with you. That we were actually in the same room, and it does really help uh, to have, because you can feed off the other actor. But then a lot of things, SpongeBob, I recorded alone. Video games always alone, pretty much. I don't think I ever did a video game with anyone else. In fact, I don't even know how you could, because when you record a video game, you record so many variations. You know, Generally when they book you for 3 hour time slot, be it a video game or for voiceover, video game or animation. Animation for a 22-minute episode, you're in and out of the booth in an hour and a half easy. Video games, they will keep you the full 3 hours, and sometimes 3 hours beyond that, because there's just so many that is
Scenarios.
yeah, there's so many scenarios. And you know people say, does it hurt you to do the voice of Aku or Iroh? Not at all. But try being burned alive multiple takes on a video game. That'll hurt your voice, man. And hello? Hello? Are we there? Yes, we are.
Question: have you seen the Last Airbender fan game that's been being made the last few years?
I know there's a Dungeons and Dragons sort of game that they made that I actually manufactured here in Albuquerque. And we actually got to go see, because we were there. I think it was Michaela and Olivia. I think Jenny was, yeah, all four of us were here. So they took us down to where they made the game, and they gave us all this really cool stuff. Yeah, I'm aware. And of course, I think I read the other day they're going to do a huge immersive game, a huge world building game that's coming out too.
Well, not though. Yeah, I did see that too, but not. It's not a game that's actually being made by the Last Airbender. There's a guy on the internet who said one day, "I wish that there was a whole world, RPG Last Airbender, like the entire universe."
Yeah, the entire
And
world.
and then the fans were like, "You should just do it," and he was like, "Okay." And like the last couple years, he's been building it. And I'm telling, like, the detail of every single corner and every single building from the show, he's doing them one at a time. He's not done yet, but he's super close to being finished. And it's just a guy making it. Yeah, if you go on YouTube and type in Last Airbender fan game,
I will do it tonight.
You'll be impressed by when you see what he's
I'm
made.
intrigued. I'm very intrigued by
you'll be impressed. And everyone's like, just buy it from him when he's done, Avatar. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll check. I must say, I've watched of the live action series. I've watched the first 2 episodes, I think, and I watched it on a plane. And I was thinking, you know what? I need to give myself time to honor this material when I get home, so I can just watch, because there's distractions on an airplane. And so, I'm going to give myself time to watch it. But since I've come back, it's the problem with me watching 8 hours of Last Airbender or playing an Airbender game is it's kind of like taking work home with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little bit like, do I really want to? Do I want to watch Abigail? Agatha all along. That's what I watch.
Yeah.
The
like, I'm done with this.
You're like, I just watched it today. It was fire.
Really? I have 2. I'm behind by 2 episodes. I've got to watch.
Oh, I won't say nothing then. I'm gonna keep it shut.
Yeah, I like it better than a lot of the ones that have been since.
Definitely agree.
Yeah, and it's very much in the what was the first one with Scarlet Witch?
WandaVision.
Oh yeah,
WandaVision was fantastic, man. I loved WandaVision. Fun fact: in my day job, for many years, I worked for Disney Studios in Burbank.
Oh,
and
wow.
Whenever you see credits rolling in a film, right, somebody's got to spell check that, and that was me. So I proofed and prepared all the legal credits for phase 2 of all the Marvel films, from Iron Man 3 to Ant-Man. I actually did the credits on those films. So, It was actually a pretty cool job. Not as cool as
But,
this job, but as day jobs go, it wasn't so awful.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
you're still in your field. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well,
A job. I
I,
was telling
I
a friend, a job's not that bad when you're still working towards something that you already
yeah,
know. Yeah.
and I was very fortunate in that once I seemed I was pretty much on a path to be a voice actor. In terms of just my life, because you're able to literally phone in your auditions. You record them at home. If you're going out for movies or commercials or anything, you've got to drive there and show up. So what that did was it allowed me to have a real job all that time. So I wasn't the whole time going, oh my God, if I don't get this gig, I'm not going to be able to pay the rent. So it really did. Voiceover is great for that and allowing you to sort of have a normal life, but also this other thing. I was allowed to do the theater. Every now and then I get really lucky and I book something on camera, but very rare. And I'm lazy, man. It's like I said, an hour and a half in the booth versus 15 hours on set. You got to be there at 4 a.m., and most of you just sitting on your ass all day. So, yeah, I'm lazy, baby. I like this gig. In and out.
I get it. Speaking of gigs, you also did the voice of Splinter. So how do you feel about that?
Well, it was Mako's last credited role.
Mm-hmm.
And he is credited, but I did record a substantial amount of dialogue. And if you watch the film, you can tell it's because when it's just me in an episode all by myself, it's close enough to Mako that you're not going to notice it. But if you put me and the next line is Mako, you will immediately hear the difference, So, I always feel a little weird when people will come up to me at a fan convention with TMNT stuff to sign because I don't want to sign it as Splinter because I was never cast as Splinter. I was never credited as Splinter, and I don't want to step on Mako's toes. So I will sign it as Splinter-ish,
Gotcha.
Splinter adjacent,
Splinter-ish.
Yeah, Splinter-ish, because it wasn't me, and I've been very clear pretty much throughout. For the moment I was cast as Iroh, I knew that Mako was so beloved, and I loved him too. And so I knew that I was going to hear a lot of, hey, Baldwin, you're no Mako. And
wow.
I realized at the very beginning.
Hey, that actually happened?
But unfortunately, social media wasn't as toxic in 2006 as it is today. Today, I would probably run screaming for the hills. It would be awful. But I knew that the only way I can counter that is to say, you're absolutely right. I am not Mako. Mako was nominated for an Oscar and a Tony Award. Mako started the first Asian American equity theater company in the United States. There's no way I can aspire to that, but I'll never achieve that. So as long as we understand, I'm not trying to replace this iconic actor. I'm just doing the gig they hired me for, which is to sound as much like Mako as I possibly can.
Right.
And I think people responded to that, and I think they know that I do have this deep affection for the man.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say, as a fan, I'm a fan of all of Mako's work. I'm a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm a fan of Avatar. I'm a fan of Samurai Jack. Like, these are like, this was like the height of cartoons and whatever at the time. But when you took over the role, maybe it's because I was younger, I don't know, but I didn't know the difference. You know what I'm saying? I never listened and said, yo, is that two different people? So I also don't feel like it's a fair respect to the work that you've put in to train yourself, to dedicate yourself to a role, and then not be able to take your flowers to say, hey, I tried to carry the torch the best way I can. You know what I mean? That'd be like spitting in Korra's face. That'd be like spitting in, what's the Wakanda Forever? What's the daughter? Shuri. That's like spitting in Shuri's face. It's like, of course we love T'Challa, but she took the torch and she did the best she could. She's not trying to replace.
And
she's
that's all you can do.
The torch. You know what I mean? So I still want to.
It's a weird sitch because lots of times you'll replace an iconic character, right? But this was the iconic actor, the voice of the iconic character, and everybody knew the iconic actor. So, I have tried, as I like to say, I can never fill his shoes, but it's been a great honor to try, at least. And contrary to popular belief, some things on the internet are incorrect. I hate to break that to everybody, but I was not Mako's understudy. I always thought it was kind of funny that people would even think I was Mako's understudy because, an understudy is something that you have for stage performances. So if an actor is sick, the other actor, the understudy, will go on stage for the actor. So ideally, you need to have two people that look very similar. And I might be able to sound like Mako, but you would never mistake Mako and I for each other in real life, So I never met him, not once. I did meet his daughter and grandson at the next to last Samurai Jack recording. And I was signing in at Cartoon Network, and someone had signed in above me as Mako. And I thought, well, that's kind of sick. What's up with that? That's weird. So I walked back into the green room, and Gendy Tartakovsky says, "Hey, Greg, come over here. There's somebody I want you to meet." And I said, "Okay, who is it?" He says, "Well, this is Mako's daughter and grandson, who is also named Mako."
Wow.
Now, at this point, I start to freak out a little bit because it's one thing to do the voice, do an imitation of the voice of an iconic character, but it's another thing to imitate the voice of somebody's beloved father, who's passed on. And it's like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, Gendy, I wish you told me and give me a heads up because this is a little, intense. So I went in to record, and I was with Phil Lamar. He was in there, Samurai Jack, with me. And I could not see from my vantage point where they were sitting, in the control booth, but Phil could. And he told me that the minute I started to speak, so he just leaned back and did this,
Wow.
And then when I walked out of the recording booth, and again, I'm hoping she likes it. I don't know. She comes up to me and she says, she gives me a hug and she says, "Thank you so much." It was like he was in the room with us again.
Wow.
And I think of all the things that I've ever done professionally, that mattered because I was able to give this family back a little something when I received a new life because of this family. And I also distinctly remember thinking at the time, it meant what I would give to hear even an imperfect impression of my own father's voice again, So I'm glad that I was able to give that to them. That is the closest I've ever been to the man himself. I hope to meet him someday. Give me 20 years, maybe 30 years down the road. Give us a little time before that happens.
You got about 40 more years until that happens.
40 more. That sounds like a lot. Oh, I'd be 100, man.
That's what we need.
I think I'll be ready to check out by that.
But I mean, no, that's powerful, man. And hey, man, for what it's worth, like he said, you honored the role at the highest possible level that it could be honored. And at least for me, it never even was a thought in my mind that you weren't Iroh. It wasn't even a discussion until today for me. So
what's cool is I'm friends with Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, who is live action Iroh on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
And I have for years I've signed as when I sign as Iroh 2.0 because I want people to know that I'm not representing myself to be the one and only Iroh. I didn't create the role. I'm again honoring Mako, but I met Paul. And we were both signing Funko Pops at this convention, and we were going, man, this is going to be confusing for people. People aren't going to know which Iroh signed their merch. So Paul signs as Iroh 3.0. So which Iroh signed your merch, and we both get to honor our predecessor in the role.
Awesome.
So it's kind of cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I saw a picture online with you guys taking a toast together.
Yeah. We were not drinking tea. That was definitely not tea that day.
It was a respectable and honorable toast.
Yeah, it was. There might have been tequila. That's a dumb joke I use all the time, but I like it.
I mean, I know you said your daughter watches a lot of anime, but what you just referenced just now, doing a toast, even though he's also not presently physically here with us, it reminds me of One Piece, where Luffy and Sabo, they kind of do a toast for brotherhood to Ace. So I just wanted to say that because I think that's really cool that you guys did that in real life and not just symbolically. Like, I think that's
and one of these days, if our schedules, if we happen to be at the same convention, we're gonna have tea time with Irohs.
Whoa!
And we're both gonna cosplay Iroh.
Y'all should do it.
Awesome.
We should make that awesome. When season 2 of the new one or that movie comes out. Y'all should make that a podcast on YouTube.
Oh, we should.
You guys should like review the episodes as a podcast.
I'm stealing that idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can have that, man. I don't need no credit, nothing. That's all you, man.
I am. I told Paul though. The thing is, man, I'm glad I was in the cartoon because he's in live action. And you know what? In order to be Ripped Iroh in season 3, I think he's going to have to probably get a personal trainer and do some serious working out.
So he's like, hey, hey, I'm glad you got the role. I'm lazy.
Go ahead, brother.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I was going to transition into basically what you guys are talking about, which is colleagues. Tell us about, what's that like? You work with so many amazing people. One of the people that you just mentioned, which I also have a picture of, which is Phil Lamar. You and Phil Lamar have been on multiple projects together, being Avatar and being Samurai Jack. So, like, what is it like being in the business and growing these relationships with these people?
When I first started, I was frankly terrified because, people like Phil Lamar, the body of his work, he's been in everything. He was in Pulp Fiction, for God's sake, Gray Delisle, somebody else, Dante Bosco, Mae Whitman. When I first was cast, again, I was basically a paralegal at Disney. And suddenly I'm in the room with these people and I'm going, oh my God, that's Rufio from Hook. What am I doing in here? They're going to kick me out anytime, To this day, sometimes when I'm at a green room at a con, I'll like, wait a minute, there's only celebrities in here. They're going to come and get me and they're going to escort me out. I don't belong here.
Wow. So you had like a small case of like imposter syndrome a little bit.
Oh, I would definitely think so. Yeah. I mean, that kind of is my gig.
You got a brandy, kind of sell it a little bit. That's funny.
I gotta ask you, what is the one, like, is there a specific character or role out there that you didn't play that you could have voiced?
There were 2 times I was actually Disney's number 2 choice to do the voice of Pumbaa.
Oh,
hey, come on. I always thought they were giant balls of gas burning billions of miles away. I was their number 2 choice, man. I would have liked to have had that role. So close.
Do you have a singing? I mean, you was on Little Shop of Horrors, the play. Do you have a singing voice? Like, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Can you sing? Can you sing some Pumbaa Lion King if possible? Can you do
Hakuna Matata? What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata ain't no passing phrase. It means no worries for the rest of your days.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that.
No.
Once they get me started singing,
philosophy.
Hey, good thing I haven't started drinking yet. If I'd started drinking, man, you wouldn't be able to shut me
Oh yeah,
out.
you need some tea in you.
Some of that Iroh tea.
Absolutely. Long Island tea.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, well, Trent, this is a game I put together real quick, and I just wanted to see. Let's see, whose line is it? So this is going to be a segment where I got a couple of quotes from some of the characters you played or represented, whether that be a game or took over or whatever the case may be. We talked about them. So I'm going to click a quote from one of these characters out of 3, and you let us know who said that. Okay?
All right. I'm ready.
All right. We ain't going to hit you with too many. We're just going to mix it up. They're all very similar characters.
Let's give it a try. Oh, well, that was Iroh who said that.
Oh, okay. Off the rip. Okay.
That's why, yeah, that's a lot of, because people want me to sign quote, and Iroh is so quotable. I've memorized most of them by heart, most of the major ones.
All right, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, because you was quoting it throughout the show. I said, oh no, he's gonna be too good at this game.
Well, if it's an Iroh quote, it can be some obscure stuff, but Iroh. Okay, all right. The main Iroh quotes, I'm pretty solid on.
All right, here we go.
And it's helped me in my own life because having Iroh's wisdom memorized, I cannot tell you how many times it's made. When I'm having a bad day, I will revisit an Iroh quote. My favorite is actually from Korra. This is because everyone has a favorite quote, and it's from Korra, and it's, "If you look for the light, you will often find it. If you look for the dark, that is all you will ever see." It's a great quote, man.
Yeah.
Amazing. I have a favorite one too. Wait, that's from Korra.
Yeah.
No, that's not. You said from Korra, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay, I'm not gonna challenge the voice actor, but in my mind, I could have sworn that was in Last Airbender when they were stuck in the cave and he was helping.
Oh, you're
Aang
thinking
while
of
he
this one.
Okay.
Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place. Honestly,
Yeah.
most of it's hard. Every now and then they'll stump me, and I won't know one. But yeah, most of the Iroh lines, I am solid on, baby.
Okay, yeah. I'm not gonna mess with you. not in the Irohs. Okay, let's try. Okay, so obviously this may not be Iroh since he's too good at that. Let's try this.
I am going to say Oogway.
Man, you're too good.
It was Oogway?
You're
It was
too
Oogway?
good.
Right, man. I'm on a roll. What do I get?
You
What's my
are.
prize? Do I get a trip to Vegas? Yay.
Man, we don't have to figure out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get you a prize or something for sure. I definitely will. I'm definitely all right. Yeah. So now I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna mix it up. Because you like, okay, so do I choose another Oogway? Okay, let's try. All right, let's see.
I'm going to say Splinter.
You know what? We're gonna do one. We're gonna do like two more, and then that's gonna be in the game. Because
Am I 3 for 3? All right, baby. Woohoo! Woohoo!
Killing it. Okay, man, you're good at this, bro. That's wild. Okay, I thought having all these three similar characters who are both wise and they give wisdom, you would mix their mentality. But you like nah.
Well, it's because I have all of Iroh's and I can instantly know, oh, those aren't Iroh lines. So it's got to be one of the other two guys,
Got you. Trace, you was about to say something?
Nah.
Oh, I saw you. Okay, cool. All right, let's try.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Splinter again.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Says, I'm just gonna do this for the casuals. We're gonna let Trace guess one because you're too good at this. We're gonna switch it up. Yeah, we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna switch it up.
I only seen Kung Fu Panda 1. So if it's Oogway going too far, I don't know if he's in other ones. I just wouldn't know.
No, he not. No, he dies in one. So we.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
All right. Let's try this.
What was that?
Wait, they pop?
No.
What?
Wait,
Now you got me looking zoomed in all close on my face trying to read it. I ain't doing it no more now.
No. Okay. Yeah. No, because he did them all.
I'm done.
Okay, this is the last one. Last one.
You keep taking it all right when I'm hecking close to the camera.
All right, here we go. All right.
I'm waiting to see if you was gonna do it again before I get it.
No, you got it. This is the last one.
At least I don't wear a mask. That's Iroh, I would say.
Nope. Yes.
Right.
It's not. It's finally one got wrong. That was Splinter.
It was Splinter. I was
see,
telling
the
the
thing
time
is,
it's Oogway or
you know,
but
you know why I didn't say
it's not an Iroh line. I'll know it.
Yeah, you want to know why I didn't think it was Splinter? Because Splinter has all the turtles wearing masks. So why would he be against masks?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
to an extent.
I know in her mind right now, when we video edit it, you're gonna see like little question marks. She's like, mask. The bandanas are masks. Those count. Yes.
Yeah, the headbands. They need that. They need a mask to identify themselves.
They're turtles. I see them.
True.
But you don't know who you're looking at.
They're color coordinated turtles. They're the only ones.
You don't know you wouldn't know who you're looking at without it. Depending on the adaptation.
You got me there. I'm gonna look at their weapons. I'm like,
the weapon. But the weapons for sure. Yeah.
Is that a staff? And you're smart with glasses? Oh, gee,
That's funny. Okay, yeah, man. Okay, so yeah, that was all my little tricks I had up my sleeve. You you kind of pulled it all out.
And some like if you like with Grey Delia, like Azula. She's played so many characters. I bet you could probably stump her. because she literally has voiced hundreds and hundreds. I've voiced maybe dozens and dozens. You know, she is, again, I've been very fortunate to work with some of some of the best people in this business. Fun fact, I actually went to college with Jeff Bennett, who you would know as the voice of Dexter's father, he was the voice of Johnny Bravo. So one of these days we should go back to we both went to the University of Houston. We go back and maybe do a Q&A there or something, something like that. Because I have been lucky, some of the and I've got to work with Mike and Brian on Avatar, and Gendy Tartakovsky on Samurai Jack, and Dave Filoni on Clone Wars. And I haven't done much on-camera work, but the one main feature film I did was for the Coen brothers. So I actually have been fortunate in my life to work with some actual bona fide geniuses, in their field. And man, just being in television animation at all, because I don't want to sugarcoat it. Everybody wants to be a voice actor. Lots of people do. It's not the easiest thing because everybody wants to do it. So just getting into television animation now, you've hit the lottery. And then to not only get into television animation, but 20 years later, the show turns out to be Avatar, The Last Airbender. And it's more popular 20 years after it premiered.
Crazy.
It's mind-boggling. We were at a panel, and Dante Basco said, I think at this point we're all looking at each other going, hey guys, are we Star Wars? But I think we might actually be Star Wars. And the franchise is growing, exponentially. They have the live action show. There's new animated content coming. There's comic books. And, I just turned 64. And only recently did it really hit me, the enormity of being involved in this show, and the fact that, I will not be here forever, but people are still going to be listening to my performance in Avatar: The Last Airbender long after I'm gone. And, I think I'll be wrong. I don't want to meet Mako anytime soon, but that does take the sting out of it. Just knowing that, we were part of this wonderful gem of a show that ended up mattering and actually changing people's lives for the better. It's wonderful. What a blessing. What an amazing blessing. I'm going to get hit by a bus any day. I'm certain of it.
That's so funny. Jamila, do you have anything you want to add to the conversation? Because I don't want to take over, with the direction.
Sorry.
I have something. I'm saving it.
I mean, honestly, the nice thing, I would say, I got this project or this other project, but mostly what I do these days is I still audition, but now that I'm older, I don't care as much. If I get the gig, great. If I don't, what I love and what I basically is my job now is just traveling, going to these fan conventions. Again, I'm lazy. I only have to work on the weekend, and I just enjoy making friends. Everyone is Iroh's friend, and I get to meet them, and I get to have meet new friends. For an old guy, I mean, that's really great. Just a quick funny story on the way out. In terms of, I'm not going to say which project this was for, but it was a video game that I did 15 years ago. You can probably figure it out. It's a very well-known game. And last year, my agent reached out and said, you know what? They're going to they want to lift some lines from the original game and use it for something new. So this is what they're going to pay you. Okay. A couple of weeks ago, I got an email from my agent again saying they're actually going to record some new lines for this character. They want to make sure that you still sound like yourself 15 years ago. And they sent me a recording of myself doing the part, right? Here's the funny thing. This is showbiz, kid. I didn't get the gig.
To play yourself?
Voice matching myself.
That's
So,
that's crazy.
And the nice thing is that I'm old, and I think that's why I'm glad that all this cool shit happened to me at this age in my life. And when I was young, I don't think I would appreciate it. Now I can look at that and laugh and say, hey, isn't that funny? If that happened to me when I was 25, I'd probably be devastated by it. Oh, I can't even get my own role again. I think it's hilarious.
Right.
So I'm a lucky guy, a very lucky man.
Did you laugh in the moment, or were you pissed?
No, you know what? I kind of honestly, I listened to my recording and I thought, Greg, your voice has gotten deeper over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
I actually do sound older, and I thought, I someone had told me that there was a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest many, many years ago, and Charlie Chaplin participated in it, and he didn't win. So life is life is ironic, isn't it? Ironic, don't you think? Yeah,
I think it's kind of cool when you do that, because when you, like you said, when you do a role, then 20 years later it gets like a new fandom and it gets like more popularized. I think that a good example of that is X-Men 97. You had the original cast who are doing all these roles, and then they get brought back and they have older voices, but what I mean, it's nice that you have a role that you can get brought back to, and it's a nostalgia and an appreciation for that, because then you get to reflect about where were you when you first started and where you are now. What I mean? I think that's awesome that they still reach out to the original voice actors. Yeah, even if they don't.
And sometimes it didn't piss me off, not at all. And trust me, as recently as 10 years ago, it probably would have. But now it's like, I get to meet people. I get to travel. My wife gets the weekends to herself without me in the house, which she enjoys. So, it's all good. It's all good.
One of my last closing questions I wanted to ask you. Question was I had a question I was gonna ask you, but it kind of that threw me off. But Trace, you got one real quick while I try to think.
Nah, it's back on you. What's your question?
Oh man, Jamila, do you have one? Because I have one, and then it threw me off.
Why you keep saying my government name?
Right.
That's her question. Why you keep saying my government name?
That's a good question.
I purposely hide it.
I apologize. They don't know how to spell it. They don't know how to spell it.
Greg.
Yes. Oh, everyone.
Right. When you went to school, did you study Greek and Latin? Or is that like part of the stuff that isn't true online?
No. I went.
I'm devastated.
Greek and Latin? No, I didn't. No, I was a terrible student. I was a horrible student. I didn't graduate college. Don't tell anybody, actually. I was there for 5 years. I just got sick of it,
Okay.
But no, Greek and Latin, I am not unfamiliar with. I know a little Spanish. That's about it.
I'm gonna go correct that wherever I read that now, because I thought that was
I wish I had. Now actually, who might have Michaela Murphy. You know her, Jessie Flower. She went to an Ivy League school. She was a smart girl. She was studying, I think, to be a surgeon at one point when she went to school. I think it was Harvard. I think she's Yale. I think. I'm not certain. Harvard or Yale, one or the other. Phil Lamar also was an Ivy League school.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Okay,
This was my question. I remember. I appreciate you doing a filler. You know what I mean? But okay, so here we go. I have a fan theory that I personally made, and I want to ask you how do you feel about it? So when we watch Avatar, Iroh kind of gives this persona that he's oblivious to things, and that he's very carefree, and that he's clumsy, and he'll I just want to go shopping today, and he's like Zuko's like, hey, about we need to go get the Avatar. He's like, yeah, but your uncle needs a few things, you know what I mean? Like this old man role, but I think it's intentional. So my fan theory is that I believe that Iroh knew that the Avatar was alive the whole time. And not only did he know that the Avatar was alive the whole time, but I believe that Uncle Iroh, when he went to the spirit world, because they did canon that he did go to the spirit world, he didn't meet Avatar Roku. However, not Avatar Roku, he was looking for his son in the spirit world. But I believe that instead of meeting his son, I believe he met Avatar Roku. And I think it was Avatar Roku who gave him the path to go on to this ideology of balance and peace. because everything that Iroh talks about is something that the Avatar stands for, which is his whole being is supposed to bring balance. And everything that Iroh talks about is bringing balance. You know what I'm saying? So I believe my fan theory is Iroh's mission to pretty much his road to redemption was started by meeting Roku in the Avatar world. I mean, in the spirit world. And after from that point going on, he basically does everything he can to help Aang along the way, which is like also founding the White Lotus and everything like that. I think my example of this is when Roku, I forget Zhang, when Zhang is sending the tent and he refuses to teach Aang firebending, Roku comes out of nowhere, out of the flames, and said, "You dare question me and Aang's potential and all this stuff." He says, "You're gonna respect me because I was once the Fire Lord." You know what I mean? Or not the Fire Lord, but I was revered in the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
And because he was so revered in the Fire Nation, it convinced somebody like Zhang to be like, okay, I'm gonna take a chance on Aang. And I think somebody like Iroh, who as you just said, was a war criminal, somebody who also was, he had a dark past. I don't believe that Iroh having his son killed would just, let me be about peace. No, I think that he would have now I'm gonna triple down and burn everything to the ground. I think it takes something like a miracle, like Roku visiting him to actually be like, oh, maybe I am on the wrong path.
That's a solid fan theory. And you know what? And it never occurred to me that he could easily have gone that way. You killed my son. Well, I'm going to kill all of you. I'm going to take vengeance on Ba Sing Se. He could have gone full Aku on Ba Sing Se.
Right.
That's solid. I like that theory. I like it a lot.
On a scale of 1 through 10, how likely do you think that's possible?
I would say 8.
Okay.
Very much so. And here's just some food for thought I'll leave you with, because this is one thing I've always wondered about. There were 2 things that I would like to ask Mike and Brian about. The first thing is the Iroh's line about Azula. She's crazy and needs to go down. It's the only line that to me is out of character for Iroh, because we know he loves Luten, he loves Zuko. I think he loves his niece, and his niece has clearly suffered psychological trauma. And yet his reaction is, "Oh, there's nothing we can do for her. Sorry about it. I'll be your mentor. You're your mentor, Zuko. I mean, she's on her own." It just seems out of character. And the other thing, and this is a big one, I'd like to find out about Mrs. Iroh. She is not mentioned once. And it seems weird to me that such an important figure in its life would simply not be alluded to at all.
I think it's really crazy. I never even thought about it. I've never even thought about, who was his baby mama? Like, it's never occurred.
And we know he's a loving man. I can only assume that he had a loving relationship with his wife. And I'm thinking maybe she died in childbirth, giving birth to Luten, and it's too painful for him to even think about. But man, that is something I would like to know the answer to.
Okay.
Mike and Brian, if you're listening.
Any closing, questions from anybody, statements, anything you want to say?
No, not really. If you look for the light, you will often find it. We do, I think it's obvious that we live in pretty dark times, and I think that's one of the things about Avatar and Iroh specifically is they do represent points of light for us all that we can reach for in a very increasingly dark world. And I'm just so blessed and happy to be a part of that. I'm so happy that, it's weird to think this way. I only have actually one nephew. I don't know. Maybe it's not weird. I only have one actual nephew. But the longer I do this gig, I come to think I have millions of nieces and nephews in many ways, And I take that responsibility as sort of one of the representatives of this role that means so much to so many people, very, very seriously. And they'll just end it on you. People will say to me, "Thank you, Greg. You made our childhood. Thank you, guys. You're making my old age. You're making an old man very happy." It's nice that it's a reciprocal thing. And as I say, when people come to my table, be well and be happy.
Hey, my last question. So on Tapping No Capping, we ask you a question that's tap or cap, which is tap if you agree, cap if you disagree. You've already seen it, but Iroh had the toughest job directing his students' anger. Tap if you agree, cap if you disagree.
All of us.
Anybody, if you want, because he's thinking. He has the thinking finger up.
I
I
would say
agree.
Iroh had a harder time of it because Zuko was a very difficult. He was.
Yes.
One time I was at a panel and they said, "What would you like to say to your character that the writers never wrote?" And I said, "Zuko, can you just chill out? You don't have to be so emo all the time. Relax, chill." Zuko was what my mom would have called. He was a handful.
You, Tracy, you want to give input on that?
Iroh's is hands down tougher. In my
Hands
opinion.
down.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't like. I barely look at Splinters as even remotely as tough because he just got to raise them as to be exactly who they are. Iroh had to change himself and then change his nephew's whole thought process of living, and which was the opposite. So the turtles
Exactly.
grew up good because he got them as a baby. So it wasn't.
Well, it
You know what I
depends on
mean?
so also you see the Aku shirt. I'm a little, I'm extra nerdy. So like,
So why?
Raphael actually wasn't, depending on which version you're talking about, he wasn't actually raised with the rest of his brothers. He actually grew up on the streets and then he eventually ran into them. So kind of getting him to get that brotherly bond and everything else, that abandonment issues, all that stuff, the anger that he had was kind of tough. Then he eventually becomes Shredder, and that the brothers do fight when it comes to Raphael. Like it's a little bit more, and I would say that like even with Splinter, like he had to raise, was it 4 boys? And Zuko, I mean, even though, Uncle Iroh had a son, he lost him, but, he only really had to focus on one, even though that was a tall order. Just saying, you know what I mean? Like it was a lot for both. But yeah, that was my own small.
Man, they
No, we're
talking.
not feeling it, huh?
No. Raphael could have been a bad gangster. Zuko was trying to take over the entire world.
Yeah, I heard you.
I think the mountain of where that rage was leading them, I think Zuko's is just substantially higher.
I hear that. I feel you. Well, thank you so much, Greg, for coming on today. We deeply appreciate your presence. Thank you for your time. It was really nice running into you at the convention. Or is there any other conventions that we can look forward to seeing you at?
I'm going to be. Let's see. Well, my daughter's getting married at the end of this month, and then I'm going to be in
Congrats.
November. I'm going to be in Arizona in November, beginning of November. Then I'm going to be at Long Island in November, and I'm going to be in the Panhandle of Texas in December. And then the cycle begins again. I've got, I think, 6 shows on the books already for next year. So, and since it is the 20th anniversary of the premiere, I think we'll probably be, pretty busy next year. So, yeah, I will be out on the road again. On the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. What a bad Willie Nelson, huh?
All right. Well, that has been Tapping No Capping. Thank y'all for tapping in with us. We'll see y'all next time.
Have a good one.